Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Buckeye Weekly Podcast. I'm Tony Gerdeman here, as always, with Tom Orr. Tom, how's it going?
Another Wednesday night here in the Woody. I don't think we normally do this Big Ten Championship game week, but this feels like this is sort of like keeping in the spirit of just sort of staying in the normal weekly rhythm. And everything this week, today especially, exactly like it has been every single previous week. Nothing different at all that I can think of.
No, the routine is the routine, Tom. I'm not sure if you've heard that.
Mm-hmm.
The routine is the routine, except for, of course, your offensive coordinator leaving for the University of South Florida. But we have covered that already on the channel. If you go to youtube.com/Buckeye Huddle, you can find the live reaction show there from that. Today, talking with Ryan Day, it was about the game ahead. And frankly, I don't know that there was much shared from Ryan Day. Today, he did mention that Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate are better than they were a week ago. So all signs point to them playing ideal conditions. So that's something you don't have to be concerned about. And frankly, ideal conditions means also your entire offense is open, whatever you would like to do with it.
Yeah, for sure. This is an Ohio State offense that thrives in indoor stadiums. You know, the Rose Bowl where it's sunny and warm and not windy, and really outside of maybe it will rain in Miami in a potential national championship game scenario. That's probably about the only potential weather concerns you really have. It has certainly rained while we have been out in California for the Rose Bowl in the past, but hasn't during the game since we've been out there. Every other potential game moving forward is indoors. So this is a time of year where Ohio State kind of got through the test last weekend that was okay, far from ideal conditions. How are you going to do? They absolutely answered the bell last weekend. And now, Ryan Day even brought that up in the post-game press conference at Michigan, where it's like, boy, if this is an indoor game, this is a very different game. Like you could tell already mentally, he's already thinking like rubbing his hands together and going, oh boy, here we go.
We talked with Julian Sayin today. He was asked about the Heisman, and he said he's not interested in any of the outside noise, which is the most disrespectful thing I've ever heard about the award, to call it outside noise.
You've heard me talk about the award before.
So that's neither here nor there for Julian Sayin. He just wants to make the plays that are available to be made. He'd rather dump off for a first down probably than win any kind of award right now. So there's some things where he's going to worry. He's only worried about the game, and that's what's gotten him to this point so far. Not expecting that to change. Not expecting him, Tom, to try to do more than he can.
No, and he doesn't have to do more than he can. He doesn't have to be. He's not in a position where he's probably going to be forcing the ball into real tight windows or into, what would be tight windows for a lot of other receivers are, that guy's open, it's fine, with some of the guys that he has the luxury of throwing the football to. I would expect him to go out and have, he's going to be prepared, obviously, for this game. This is going to be a challenge. This is one of the best defenses in the nation. He is as well equipped as anyone in the nation to take on one of the best defenses in the nation. The offensive line feels like it has sort of shored itself up. They've figured out some of the issues they had in the running game. The wide receivers are now healthier and in a better spot than they have been in recent weeks. And now the weather's not a concern. It's just, and he has been consistently one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the nation, especially when he's throwing to the guys who he has the real good rhythm with. So, I think I think it is teed up for him to have a really good day on a very big stage in what, could be a head-to-head Heisman thing, where he doesn't have to worry about the Heisman, because if he just worries about the stuff he needs to worry about, the Heisman takes care of itself.
Yeah. The offensive lineman will win him the Heisman.
Yeah.
Speaking of the offensive lineman, Phillip Daniels, we talked with him. Always great to talk to him. He was asked about the Michigan game, was like ready to move on. But I mean, if you want to ask about it,
fine, we'll talk about it. All right.
He was asked asked about the 20-play drive. He's like, I didn't even realize it was 20 plays. I just kept lining up, looking to see who I was going to kill and how I was going to kill him. And that's Phillip Daniels. Whenever we get to talk to him, he loves talking about just he is a football guy on the offensive line, and has mentioned that he also needs to just play within himself and I think he's done that. play to the line, don't go over the line, I think is another thing that he has said. But he said, basically, when you see how clean Julian Sayin came out of that game, that's exactly what you're looking for as the offensive line, and now they want to do it again.
Yeah, exactly. The offensive line, this is, kind of like you can't win the national championship in the spring, but you can lose it. The offensive line can't win the Heisman Trophy for Julian Sayin, but they could lose it. Based on how they played up at Michigan, that doesn't seem like a problem. And Daniels in particular, he's someone who's very emotional, and he is very, he will have some big reactions on the field. And I think it was natural to kind of go into that game and sort of wonder, okay, this is going to be by far the most emotional game of the season. How is he going to handle that? And in a game where it felt like people were constantly trying to bait other people into big overreactions, 15-yard, retaliation kind of penalties, nothing. It was. I thought that was one of those storylines that we sort of talked about in advance of the game, and I haven't thought about since, because it was never something you thought about or noticed during the game. And he has been, of all the people that they brought in the portal this year, I think he has been the single most pleasant surprise. I'm just sort of thinking through, and it's like, it's not that they had a bad portal class or anything, but it just feels like he has been as positive an impact on this team as anyone. CJ Donaldson's obviously had a very good season as well, but Daniels came in and we were thinking, well, okay, that's great. That's a 2026 fix. What a luxury to have him in a year early. And then he's been a starter from day one and been phenomenal, really.
He also was talking about how he and the team were just so locked in against Michigan. So I asked him, does that make it harder to get that locked in again, or easier? He's like, easier because we've done it and we've been doing it.
Yeah.
And so, that may have been a little bit different because it was Michigan, but he believes they're going to be able to get back to that place, which is basically what you need the rest of the way out. So I thought that was interesting where, that is a question. How do you get back up after an emotional win against Michigan? And basically it's, that's what we've been doing. And we were locked in once, we'll get locked in again because we know how to get there. Defensively, talked with Kenyatta Jackson, Kayden McDonald, Jaylen McClain. I think both Kenyatta and Jaylen McClain were saying, Michigan is done. We're not bogged down in the past. We don't want to, there's much more to come, sure. Great to get that win. Great for the seniors. Great for, Kenyatta even said, great for, I wanted to do this for Tyleek and all those guys that are here. But now it's on to Indiana and Indianapolis, and a place that none of them have been. And you've got Jaylen McClain, who's a true sophomore, wants to be there just as bad as fourth-year junior Kenyatta Jackson.
Yeah. And, this is, I know there's sort of that conversation that's going on right now in the sort of Ohio State internet sphere about they should just say, we're not going to go. It doesn't matter. Who cares? And believe me, the team cares. We talk about this constantly. We talk constantly about the fact that we talk about this constantly. The 3 goals for the team: beat Michigan. Okay, check. Win the Big Ten. Haven't done that yet. And win the national championship. They did that, the one back in January. They did the other one last Saturday. They want to get the next one. They want, they want 2025 up on that wall where they have the list of the Big Ten championships. Those are national.
I know, but they want those too.
Yeah, they want, there's an empty spot right there. Yes, there's an empty spot right there on the wall for the next national championship banner. They would like to fill that one as well, but they can't do that this weekend, but they can put another number up on the Big Ten championship wall. And, in the tunnel in Michigan, I did a video there last weekend, and they have 2 walls there, and one of them is national championships, one of them's Big Ten championships. Ohio State, they don't have the Big Ten championships in here, but they will have a new playoff year on the banners up there. They'd like to add a national championship on the wall behind us, but they have had over the years had Big Ten championships on the wall in the team room and that kind of stuff. So that is absolutely a goal. That's absolutely something that's on their mind. Kayden McDonald, you mentioned him. He was asked, he won the Big Ten Defensive Lineman of the Year award and seemed genuinely moved by that. He is a really just a nice kid. He's and he called himself a kid, so I can call him a kid. It's okay. It's not just that I'm old. But he's just a really good dude. He is, a little bit soft-spoken, but also a really big personality. And he was asked about, what it meant to him to win the Big Ten Defensive Lineman of the Award. And immediately, thanked God, and then immediately went through a list of, I think, about 20 people ranging from former teammates to current teammates to current staff people and the team nutritionist and Larry Johnson. And it was just like, he is just so grateful for everyone around him because, he did not come in necessarily as top 5 national player, 5-star. Like he was a very solid, respected recruit, but was not someone that you looked at and thought absolutely top, future first round draft pick. He is like, in his first year as a starter, is checking all the boxes right now. And, he's one of those players that I think it's very easy to root for. And he's someone who, is just, he has been just a lot of fun to just watch this year, both during the plays and then also very enthusiastic celebrations after some of the plays as well.
Yeah, he's grown this year. Jaylen McClain talked about how he has grown this year from the start of the season where he was confident, but now he knows everything. And there are 3 times against Michigan where he was the last tackle to stop a touchdown, basically. And he was asked if he got any accolades for that. He's like, I just do my job. That's what I'm here for. Just tackling when I need to tackle, cover when I need to cover. And that's, we talk about Jordan Fuller being that last line of defense that you can always count on. Jaylen McClain as a sophomore doing that. I did ask Kenyatta and Jaylen McClain both how Tavian St. Clair has done as the Fernando Mendoza on the scout team. Both said he's done a great job this year as scout team quarterback, but also his athleticism gives them another challenge this week, as does Fernando Mendoza. So it's interesting to see the birth of a young quarterback and the progression from a scout team to then eventual whatever. But always interested to get feedback during like this time of year, the bowl time, bowl prep, when they're getting more practice time for the young guys to see how the next quarterback, the potential next quarterback is doing.
Well, and this is the time of year where the freshmen aren't really freshmen anymore, and you're starting to get to the point where guys start talking about, we'll probably get to talk to Tavian again in like February or March, but guys will talk about the game slowing down for them. And, you can still see when you're watching Bryce Underwood, you could see the moments where it was like, there's a guy open and you don't see it because your brain is going 1,000 miles an hour and you're going, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap. And you're not processing stuff. And that's just reps. That's just time. That's just time in the film room, time on the practice field, time on the game field. There's no substitute for that. And so now you've got, for Tavian St. Clair, but for a lot of other freshmen, you're starting to see that. You're seeing that with the running backs. Running backs are generally able to get on the field earlier than quarterbacks, generally as true freshmen. But even for those guys, they're seeing the field better. They're hitting the hole correctly. They're going to the running to the right spot. They are finding the cutback lanes. All of the stuff that's like, okay, this is now not just a huge blur of large bodies in front of you. You are seeing the code in the matrix a little bit. That's what happens for freshmen this time of year.
Well, and Philip Daniels talked about seeing it from Bo Jackson in spring. There's just one particular play where there are 2 guards right next to each other on a play, and Bo squeezed between them, and then the hole opened. And he's like, right then I knew that this kid is special. And you've seen that come on, and he's headed for possibly, I'm going to say he's headed for 1,000 yards this season. He's a few short, maybe 40 short, but he's got at least 2 games to get him there.
Tony, the bold prediction show is Thursday. That's not Wednesday night.
Sorry. Anything else today from interviews or anything else?
I don't think so. I mean, the general tone around, I heard Julian Sayin talking about Brian Hartline, and Brian Day obviously talked about it earlier. The tone around Brian Hartline's leaving for USF is good for him. Congratulations. Well-deserved. Julian Sayin was asked about Hartline deciding, he was going to stick around and coach through the playoff and the fact that he was welcome to do that. And he kind of went like, yeah, he went here, he graduated from here. Like, yeah, of course he's going to do that. But yeah, I think anytime someone leaves, I saw lots of people in the comments on our live stream just about ready to throw themselves off the roof. And it's like, all right, guys, it's okay. It'll be okay. And
do you remember when Urban Meyer left?
I recall that. Yes. That was the time that everything was going to go to just absolutely go to heck immediately, right?
And it did.
Now, I think the Hartline thing this was something that is not a surprise to anyone in the building that this is happening. the specifics of it and when it happened was a little bit of a surprise, because it sounds like that came together very quickly. But the fact that he was, potentially looking and potentially going to be a viable candidate for some of these positions wasn't a surprise to us. So I'm sure as heck wasn't a surprise to anyone in this building. And this is also not like, what are they going to do now? Like, I can assure you, Ryan Day has a plan for what what they're going to do now. We were talking on earlier about what we think that plan might be, but this is, if this is a possibility, and he's been interviewing for head coaching positions for a couple seasons now, you had to know this is a possibility. So yeah, there's a plan. It'll be fine. If you, we'll see. There's still a couple of recruits who are waiting to sign one way or another. That, it's still a little bit of an open question. But as Ryan Day said, this is the Ohio State football will be here long after each individual person on this in this program is here. So it'll be fine, and they are still number 1 defending national champions. Number 2, hey, just beat Michigan like 4 days ago, and number 3 headed to the Big Ten championship game, and number 4 still the somewhat prohibitive favorites to win the national championship game again this season. So I would say, is all lost? I would argue no.
I would say it's okay to feel however you want, but it's also not a bad thing to recognize where things are, that they still appear to be headed in a strong direction, and don't give up hope just yet on the Ohio State football program. So
this is something that's called adversity. Most people see it a lot more often than Ohio State football fans, but I know it's a new concept for some. So that's what this is. It generally won't kill you.
It may make you stronger, or it may just annoy you for an awful long time. So
is that how that saying goes?
It's
the longer version?
People only hear the abridged version. I give them the unabridged version. So that will do it from the Woody here. If you want to hit the thumbs up, we'd appreciate that. Subscribe to the channel if you've not yet done that. I've said all of these things for 2 weeks straight, 7 times a day. You know what I'm going to say next. Also, you can come find us at BuckeyeHuddle.com. We'd love to see you there. So that will do it from here. Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll talk to you all later.